French, for example, I'm giving
French is a very patriarchal, misogynist, sexist language.
No problem.
As is Spanish.
We can talk about patriarch in a second, but for what I was going to say was that French language, yeah, they actually have commissions in place to try and basically keep the language pure in a sense, yeah.
They do indeed.
Yeah. So in English language, what happens is the language is malleable in the sense that we can actually introduce new words into the language.
Look at the number of words in French compared to the number of words in English.
So as far as I know, according to majority of dictionaries, now the word guys can include males and females. And if you're arguing from, let's say, a woman's perspective, or you want the words to be more inclusive or whatever, I would say that's a good thing. Why not own the word guys in a sense?
No, because
you don't want
means something very specific.
All right, well, let's make it more general then.
I'm saying we should come up with new words. And
no
I'm
problem.
Saying that
you have the right to come up with new words.
Yeah, but are the men going to use those words?
Yeah, if you use them.
Are you willing to stand here?
Yeah, no problem.
Well, I would say you all, or y'all, or ladies and gentlemen, or something that's more inclusive. But
so let's get to the heart of it, right? Let's talk about patriarchy.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about patriarchy, okay? So for me, I think that there are layers of oppression, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm not denying. I've never denied that men oppress women.
Okay.
And that's the idea of patriarchy, where you have men oppressing women or exploiting them in any system, in any given system, okay? But what I find is a problematic element of the feminist argument. I'm not saying that you're a feminist, but I'm just saying that those are
just like I don't see you as speaking for all
but
Muslims.
What I was going to say, yeah, of course. But what I was going to say was what I find problematic about it is that what's not identified is that there are different layers of oppression. For instance, yeah? Yes, it's true that men oppress women, but it's also true that women oppress women. So for instance here,
that's part of patriarchy.
Yeah, and men oppress men. So for instance, yeah.
No, but we're talking about a systemic problem.
Yeah.
Like racism.
So no,
Black people aren't racist. There's a systemic.
But there is I would argue, there's a systemic problem in the system of capitalism that we have. Yeah, I would call it a problem whereby
capitalism and patriarchy work together.
Yeah, and I believe that we have to identify those things, right? But so if we're saying that, for instance, you're a woman, yeah, as far as I can identify. In Africa, you have men. In my opinion, me and you, yeah, are working in a system, contributing to it and not objecting to it in some cases. Maybe this is an example of us working in that direction, but usually not objecting to a system of economics, which means that people in the West, men and women, exploit people in the African subcontinent, for example. Okay, if that's the case, then why is there a special word for when men oppress women, and there is no special word for when women oppress women that are also men even in the African subcontinent? Because that's, I would argue, a more exact reality. It's more problematic. Now it's imperialism, but what I believe feminism is what it's like. It's kind of like Marxism in a sense, because it defines very clearly the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. The bourgeoisie are the men. The proletariat are the women.
Marxists are very bad feminists.
No, I understand. You have Marxist feminists, but what I'm saying is that the structure, the framework is very, very similar. So the bourgeoisie become men, and the proletariat are the women. Yeah, and it's almost as if there is a systemic exploitation of women by men throughout the histories or throughout the times. What I'm saying to you is that it's more complicated than that. Yeah, when we look at the household, when you look at the bulk of human civilization, 7 billion individuals on the planet Earth, and we look at historical civilizations and populations that existed within them, what you do have, whatever way you want to look at it, is hegemony. So you have at the top a system or a people or an empire or a country or countries or a hemisphere that is usually a beneficiary of some kind of economic system. In this case, it's capitalism. Yeah. So here,
I don't understand why you're making a connection between capitalism and
no. This is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Women. I don't see any connection.
No, what I'm trying to say is this.
Probably the opposite.
No. What I'm trying to say is, just as I agree that there are some men that oppress some women, yeah. I'm saying to you
it's not just an individual.
No. But what I'm saying to you is that women oppress some men and also some women. So here, what you have to see is that basically oppression is rampant and everywhere. So here, what you're basically saying to me is that why don't we have this and that or patriarchy or whatever? I'm saying that, listen, humans oppress.
Let me speak, so you don't really know
of course. No, but that's what you said before. I'm just So what I'm saying to you, what I'm saying to you is
you're being oppressed,
that
I think.
no. What I'm saying to you is that people are oppressing people. Yeah. Now there are some very women-specific.
Just like men are raped too. I know.
No, I'm not saying men are raped too.
No,
that's a straw man. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm saying that's the argument that you're giving. It's like,
No,
okay, sure. So at me as an American, I'm U.S. American, right?
Yeah.
So that means that I'm oppressing women in Africa because I buy the products that they've made.
You're acquiescent. You're acquiesced to an oppression that's going on.
How do you know what I'm acquiescent? How do you know what I'm supporting and what I'm not supporting?
Because in this course, you've highlighted one oppression without mentioning the other one.
We can talk about all of them if
let's
you like,
do it.
But mine specifically right now is the way that you as a man and how most men speak in conversations like this.
Okay.
Like how mostly we refer to women as girls instead of women, and we refer to men as guys or men. And so I think that then
What's
when
the
we
problem
step
with
into... What's the problem? What do you mean?
What's the issue with that?
So if we're discussing males and females, and you consider yourself a man and you consider me a girl, you don't find a problem with that?
I don't consider you a girl. I consider you a woman.
In colloquial terms, the way that most people are speaking,
do they pretty young to me.
Do they say women, or do they call a woman like me about my age a girl?
Well, in your country, I don't know. Like in America.
Here, I was just speaking with some men, and they were talking about,
No,
if I date a girl,
I think in this country.
well, if I date
right,
a girl,
okay. Maybe
I
like
need
that.
a girl,
Yeah.
like that, right? But
so what's the
we're not
issue?
girls.
What's the problem?
Do you think that there's a problem that if I step into this space right here and the men here see themselves as men and they see me as a girl, like a child,
Maybe, yeah.
that maybe that's
infantilizing in that.
yeah,
yeah.
Don't you
If
think
you
it's
feel okay,
creating an unfair
maybe you're right.
playing
So I reckon that maybe sometimes women can also say, "I've dated a boy."
When do we say that?
I don't know, man. I've heard that.
Rarely. I'm talking
but
about
hold on
in regular.
But I haven't done. I
But
haven't
that's
done.
not right, is it? Because what we're doing is we are attacking her now.
No, I'm not trying to attack her.
We are, because what we're doing is
Yeah.
we're saying there's this counter-argument. She's actually telling you something which she believes to be true.
Right.
We need to embrace that and not bring
Fine.
up some
Okay.
other argument.
No, you're right. You're right. I'll accept that. But I haven't done any sociological, longitudinal or otherwise
But what she just said was correct, wasn't it?
broad-scale study to see who is saying
If I
what.
called you a boy, you wouldn't like it, would you?
No.
And nor would I.
No.
And nor would Preston, and no one
No,
would
you
like
find
that.
it very
Okay. Fine.
offensive.
Fine.
Right, so
All right.
she's
Maybe there's some
absolutely
issues there.
valid
Maybe
point.
you're right.
Of course. And it's the same way that
Not maybe,
so like
definitely.
I'm a woman.
Yeah, all right.
Even me as a woman,
Yeah.
that definition is based upon my relationship to my
Yeah.
husband. So I only either I'm the property of my father, I take his name, and he tells me when I'm released
Yeah.
to my
And
husband.
in Islam,
and then I
it's not.
become
You're not
his
allowed to
property.
have your husband's surname.
Not allowed to.
No,
Why
you're
is
not allowed
that?
to. Because Islam came to protect 5 fundamental rights. They're called ad-darurat al-khams. One of them, so it's like life, lineage, wealth, dignity of the person, etc. So and religion. One of them is lineage. So when a woman gets married to a husband, she has to maintain her name. She can't change her name to her husband's name.
And would you agree that? Well, why is it that men are allowed to have multiple wives, but women aren't allowed to have multiple husbands?
Okay, so in Islam, we believe there's some principles that you need to know.
Even besides
Right.
Islam.
Oh, generally.
Let's speak generally.
Because
Okay.
it's desirable.
Why are
Well, I
men
can only-
allowed to
Because
fuck whoever they
because
want?
it's desirable and men have power. That's
Okay,
the
let
answer
me.
you don't want to hear, but that's the truth.
No, hold on. Let me tell you. Even if we argue in that sense, right?
Well, we don't have to argue, it's a fact.
No problem. No, but that's once again, just because it is, it doesn't mean it's wrong.
No, I
No,
don't
no,
think
no.
it is right. What
Right,
I'm saying
no,
is
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
fact
So
that men
let me
do
say- let me
marry
tell you,
lots of
right.
women in,
Let me-
say, Utah, for example, right?
Okay, so let me answer you, right? The truth is this.
Wait, when you start something with the truth is this, it leads everyone to believe that that's the truth, and I don't.
I think you're more critical than that. I think you employ more of a
He's used to-
criticality than that.
He's used to proselytizing. That's his
Yeah,
problem here.
right. And
So,
he's
okay.
a tall, handsome man who's very charismatic, so he can start a sentence with, "The truth of the matter is," but actually it's not
Doesn't
the
work
truth,
for me,
it's your
Mohammed.
opinion.
Doesn't doesn't
Your
work for me.
opinion is that
My
what?
opinion is, I believe. I'm convinced.
I like that.
Actually, no, in
Right.
fairness, you have said, I think, I feel.
Yeah,
Utah.
right.
That's
Yeah,
that's cool.
All right. So,
pretty neutral.
Islamically, right?
Islamically.
The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Innama nisa'u shaqa'iqu rijal," that men are equal to women. However, there are some exceptions from an Islamic perspective to that. So we don't believe. We will talk about absolute freedom of speech. We said that we've debunked that kind of. You could say, yeah.
You don't have absolute equality of
Yes,
men.
we don't believe in absolute equality. We believe in a general equality and not in an absolute one. So we would say that in order to believe in an absolute equality between men and women, you would have to assume that the natural predispositions of either men or women, whether it be biological, psychological, or otherwise, should be disregarded in terms of, for example, application of laws. Simone de Beauvoir, and I always mention her because she's quite mainstream. When she talked about feminism, she had a second chapter called biology. Yeah.
I'm a good feminist.
Well, that's what you would say. I don't believe she was.
Camilla
Why?
Paglia.
Well, I'll tell you why. in her second chapter on biology, she very candidly and clearly, honestly, unequivocally, unambiguously, right, mentions the differences between men and women in terms of biology. She even says men are stronger than women, that women are more emotional than men. All those things that are maybe in the common vernacular quite
and maybe
politically
the majority
incorrect.
of times, but that's not true.
But even
No,
if
no.
that was true, I think the application of inequality doesn't fit that.
No, what I was going to say is that this is the argument. This is the thrust of the second her argument. She is saying that despite the differences, we should have equality.
Not equality, but equality and equity is very
Excellent,
different.
excellent, perfect. So, if you agree with me that an absolute equality is not something which is either desirable or feasible, then we can move on. But if you're saying that actually, despite the physiological, psychological, biological differences, despite that, we should have absolute equality.
Could you make clear the testimony arguments?
No, but one thing at a time, because polygamy came into it, so I'm trying to build an argument.
The testimony is an important one.
No, I don't want equality. I don't want to be a man.
So what is equity then?
All.
Equity here, usually in the dictionary, is referred to as some kind of fairness, yeah?
Right.
But once again, it's very arbitrary and subjective. So
sure, but like I just spent 6 weeks in Morocco,
all right.
and what I saw there was not equity in any
no,
way
but that's
whatsoever.
your opinion, right? I'm not saying it is equity as well. I've been to Morocco many times, like 3 or 4 times.
Sure, I had a great time. The people there are beautiful. I learned a lot about Islam that I did not know before. Okay. I actually agree with a lot of what's going on. But when I pass by the cafes, I see men sitting around sipping on their tea, watching football all day, and where are the women?
Sounds like here.
Where are they? They're nowhere to be found. But
it's not Islam, it's actually the culture of the
country. Are you a broken brother? Trying to come and defend yourself.
No, I've only been to
they're
two
wrong for what they're doing.
Muslim countries.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They are wrong for what they're doing.
That's once again.
Always complain about
when we were talking about Richard, I told him, listen, don't make a false equivalency of saying, okay, what Islam preaches is exactly what is in the.
But we knew where he was coming from. His heart was in the right place. In what he was saying.
Yeah, for sure. So what I'm saying is this. So
him,
we know, Islamically, there's certain rights, responsibilities that men have that women don't have. For example, divorce is easier for a man. No matter how any apologist wants to spin it, divorce is easier for a man than it is for a woman. I'll tell you why. Divorce is easier for a man. A man can marry up to 4 women, and if he can't do justice, he can marry only one.
But why? Like, what
I'll tell you.
The reason for that?
These are some of the differences. In some cases, the inheritance are different. Not always. Sometimes there is equality. Sometimes there isn't.
Inheritance is a big problem, I think.
Well, not really, because people have a misunderstanding on inheritance, by the way, and I can talk to you about that.
30 over 35 cases, it gives to the woman more than a man.
Yeah, in some
Like
cases.
30, yeah.
I don't know about 30, but what we do know that, for example, with inheritance, the highest group of people that get inheritance is a group of women, rather than men. So if you have 3 girls,
you're talking about who gets the inheritance, and then you're talking about how much inheritance.
How much? 3 girls get more than 3 boys, basically. Yeah, but then because in the Quran it says, وَإِن كُنَّ نِسَاءً, it says in the Quran, in chapter 4 of the Quran it says, وَإِن كُنَّ نِسَاءً فَوْقَ اثْنَتَيْنِ فَلَهُمَا ثُلُثَا مَا تَرَكَ. If there's more than 3 girls, or 2 or more girls, actually.
Wait, girls or women?
It's girls or women.
Okay.
So it includes both, because here فَإِن كُنَّ نِسَاء, the actual word in Arabic is females, women. Yeah. وَإِن كُنَّ نِسَاءً فَوْقَ اثْنَتَيْنِ فَلَهُمَا ثُلُثَا مَا تَرَكَ. If there's more than 2 or 3, then they get 2/3 of what is left behind. So the highest, in terms of inheritance, the highest group is 3 women.
Because there are more girls or women than there are men?
No. If there are 3 girls, and 1 boy,
they get 2/3.
3 girls, they get 2/3. Yes. Right. Which, if there are men in the equation, if there are men like father.
The thing is,
sorry, 3 women.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I apologize. 3
women.
women. Yes. Apologize.
You say woman, you say
no,
men.
daughter, granddaughter, etc. Yeah.
Any of the females.
Yeah, females. Yeah. 3 females get more than the men. If there are a mother and a daughter, and you die and you leave by your mother and your daughter, they get both 1/6 each. So it's equality there. In one case, there's a very clear disparity between where a boy gets more than a girl, and we can talk about that. Yeah. But the point is that that's been misconstrued as well. So there's 3 things here we've talked about.
I mean, the reason behind, I think that
so
inheritance
Christina's asking
is
for the reason.
Yeah. So
the reason why men feel like they have property and that no one else can touch it. So like when we were nomads before, when we were hunter-gatherers, before we decided, oh, we're going to stay here and we're going to plant and whatever and cultivate, right? Then men decided, this is my land, this is my house, this is my donkey, and this is my wife, and don't you touch none of my shit, because when she has my children, I'm going to know that they're mine because you haven't touched her and she hasn't gone anywhere else. And now I know that I'm passing on all the things that are mine to my children. Okay. It's a completely capitalist, patriarchal way to think, and I don't think that it has to be that way.
Yeah,
if we weren't worried about property rights, we wouldn't be worried about owning women.
One thing at a time. By the way, Islam says nothing about owning women, yeah? Like in terms of your wife is not a person you own.
I'm speaking generally on this planet. I'm talking about human beings.
Fine. But I'm just going back, yeah? So apart from those kind of three main things.
I'm speaking as a human being. Are you speaking as a human or a Muslim?
I'm speaking as a Muslim, because you asked me a question about Islam. Then I'll come back to you about the human point, yeah?
He mostly speaks.
So in regards to Islam, these are the three main points I can think of now. Maybe there's a fourth one. Maybe leadership could be a fourth one, yeah? But even that is a controversial topic, so we're not going to go into it. These are the three main points that basically there is a difference between men and women, yeah? Now, apart from that, I can't really think of that many
Do you
points.
agree that there are other genders besides men and women?
No.
Why is that?
Biologically,
I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about gender.
Well, I mean,
I think Islam predates transgender.
But this is the problem.
No, it doesn't. There were people, for example, there was transgender people at the time of the Prophet. People don't know. Yeah, there were people that.
How were those people treated?
Well, the Prophet was very nice to them and kind to them. In fact, there was a discussion.
We had this conversation about, not with you, but
there's a discussion. There was a discussion with the scholars. They say, okay, should a person, because a lot of them actually had been castrated, and so they identified a lot of them with females, femininity.
So they were hermaphrodites then?
No, they were castrated.
Oh, they were men who were, okay.
Yeah, but then I started to identify more with femininity, if you like, yeah? Socially constructed, whatever.
Actually happens, right?
Females. So a lot of scholars decided, like, there's a difference of opinion. Does a woman have to wear her headscarf in front of that person or not? There's actually discussion. So, because is she, does she have to wear a headscarf? There's discussion, yeah?
Why does she have to wear a headscarf?
That's another main point. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. That is definitely...
I like to jump around a lot.
Yeah. So these are the main differences. But dress code is definitely different. The reason why, in a nutshell, is because men and women are different. If you want a one-word answer,
women have to wear headscarves because
they're different to men. So here, the point is this. Remember, look, we said that if you go back to Simone de Beauvoir, listen to me, yeah? Simone de Beauvoir, her point is that biology, psychology, and physiology, despite differences, we should have absolute equality. I'm saying no, or Islam says we should have general equality, but where there's differences, those should be accounted for. That's the argument.
The problem here is going to be how we account for them.
Yeah.
That's
so
going to be the
how
issue.
we account for them, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be totally honest with you, right? There's two things in Islam. There's something called the illah and something called the hikmah. Illah, as we talked about before, is the reason behind, the actual reason behind it. I cannot tell you. I'm not even allowed to tell you what the illah is, because unless the Quran mentions it very clearly or the hadith, I can't say the reason is this. I can only guess what the hikmah is, the wisdom. Do you understand?
You have to accept it. You have to accept the
So for us, the reason why we do all those things, in a nutshell, Christina, now listen, is because we genuinely believe that the Quran and the Sunnah is rationalizably, something which has come from God. It's a revelation. And God knows all the variables. He knows the extraneous variables. He knows the societal variables. He knows the personal... No, we don't believe he's a man in that sense.
You say he.
Yeah, because in the vernacular, if we say she, it's specific. We're supposed to say he.
All languages are sexist and misogynist.
Well, look, once again, it depends on how you define sexism and misogyny.
Well, if you're saying that God is not a man.
Yes, he's not a man. Yes, he's not a man.
And he has no gender.
Yeah, we don't believe Jesus is God.
But you say he.
Yeah.
You say he too.
Let me tell you something. In Arabic language, the word huwa, which is a pronoun, the first of 12 pronouns,
right.
Huwa means he. It's used to refer to singular men. It's used to refer, in the plural, hum is referred to men and women. So it's a little bit confusing. It's not the same as our English language.
I know, you've got to separate
Whereas
for
in
two people
in Arabic, if you say she, it can refer to, for example, inanimate objects in plural form are females. If I'm talking about the trees, I'll use a plural form, a female form for that, a feminine form for that. So it's not as stringent, or it's different in Arabic. I'm using English language.
But why is it that we
so
in Arabic?
Yeah.
How do you refer to Allah?
We refer to Allah.
Which pronoun?
Okay, so Allah refers to himself as we in the plural, magisterial plural. It's referred to in the third person as he. But as we said before, that's the default.
Why is he the default?
Why is he the default? That's the language.
Right, like most languages.
Like most language, but
like if there's a group of all women here, and then you walk over, we're ellas. If you're a group of men, we're ellos.
No,
but if one man walks into a group of all women, all of a sudden we're all
let me tell you how it works in Arabic. So if there's a group of men and women, it's hum.
Yeah.
If there's a group of females, it's hunna.
Uh-huh.
If there's a group of majority females, it's hunna. It's like, you know, they. Yeah.
And there's a group of only men.
Only men. There is no. That's the thing. You could argue that there is no specific, like here, hum is men and women, and it's only men as well. Whereas you have two pronouns that can be.
It's the same as Spanish.
No, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a Spanish speaker.
It's the same as Spanish.
Yeah. So you can't really argue this. Let me tell you why, right?
Why not?
Because let me give you one verse in the Quran, yeah? It says in Surah Al-Ahzab chapter 33 of the Quran, مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ رِجَالٍ. From, and the word here is mu'mineen, the believers. The believers are men. From the believers are men.
Mankind.
Yeah, now, mu'minina is in the hum form. Hum refers to both men and women. This is the proof of it, yeah? And here is extrapolating the mena of the group of men and women. You get it? The point is, you could argue that hum refers to either all men and or men and women, whereas hunna refers to only all women. So there are two pronouns.
You don't have a word.
But there are two pronouns in Arabic that refer to women and only one that refer to men.
No, but that's because the word for men is all inclusive. There's no. It's the same way in Spanish. It's that the men.
So what?
If there's one man, the group is considered all men. That's the point.
No, that's not how it is in Arabic. Say, for example, if you've got a majority woman, and you have one man, then really this is a group of females. Majority is females.
Is that in your face?
Yes.
So if you have a group of people and there were 100 women there and there's one man,
yes.
Which pronoun do you use? The
if
one
there's
for
100
men and women.
If there was 100, no, you'd use the one for females.
Okay.
Because it would confuse the people.
You'd say hunna.
You would say hunna because it's majority females and it would confuse people. Yeah, because it's 100 women is a lot. Anyways, going back to what we were talking about.
We got sidetracked now to language.
Yes. By the way, there's some interesting.
I was much more comfortable with the philosophy argument.
Yeah. Going back. No, but it's good. Do you know something else interestingly? Yeah. You can use something.
I can or we can.
No, in Arabic.
Pronouns are very important, don't you think?
Why do you think they're important?
Because when you're speaking to me and you say you can do this and you can do that, it feels accusatory in a way, and it's something that we can all do. And I feel like you're speaking to the crowd, not just to me.
But I'm talking to you. Yeah, but do you get what I'm saying? Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So, in a nutshell, the reasons, I can't tell you all the reasons. For example, the hijab is mentioned in the Quran. Why the hijab is prescribed?
I thought it wasn't.
No, the hijab, that particular, it says فَلَا يُؤْذَيْنَ. So the reason why, one of the reasons behind it is so that women don't get exploited by men.
But
one of the
why
reasons behind
we
it.
Focus on the men exploiting?
We are as well, because there's a whole injunction for men to lower their gaze, and so there's another injunction for women to protect themselves in a sense.
But if men are lowering their gaze, then why would women have to?
They're not. That's the problem. We're not lowering our gaze.
And why is it that like women wouldn't be attracted to men and look at men in a sexual way the same way?
Well, that's the thing. We go back to our biology, psychology, and physiology. We're saying that we're different. Men and women are fundamentally. Pardon?
I have a libido.
Yes, but it's not the same.
Libido.
It's not the same as the man's libido. Whatever you want to do, it's not going to be the same.
That's a very general statement.
No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying it's less or more. I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not saying it's. You're going red, my friend. Listen, I'm not saying it's less or more. Yeah, I'm not saying it's more intense or less intense. I'm just saying it's different. Would you agree with that? Most studies that I've looked at. I don't believe in just two genders. Well, look. Most studies that I've looked at have shown that men have more of an instant impulse, whereas women are more slow burners, if you like.
So I think that has to do more with some socialization that's happening, especially today.
No, I don't think so. I think generally speaking, women are more slow burners when it comes to sexual activity, whereas men are more instantly activated.
I think we want to say that, and that's why we don't have a positive word to discuss women who like to have sex with multiple partners or lots of sex with one partner.
We have that. We have those words.
But you do not have any room to maneuver here.
In English, I'm talking
in your religion.
Polygamy.
It's in your creed. You can't change it.
No.
Yeah,
polygamy.
It's not for a man. Polygyny is for a man.
No.
Yes. Polygyny is for a man, right? Yes. Get the dictionary. Polygamy is for men and women, both of them.
Yeah, I'm talking more about polyamory.
Yeah, that polyandry as well. That's for women specifically.
No. Polyandry is for women to have multiple husbands.
Yes. So there is a word.
Polyamory.
What's that?
Polyamory is literally polyamory, the love for more than one person.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Sounds good.
So no, but so we do have the word there. What's the problem?
No, I'm not talking about the concept of being able to do that. I'm saying, what do you call a woman in the most positive way possible who enjoys having sex a lot?
There's only one word, and it's a terrible word. So I'm not going to repeat it.
No. And what do you call a man who likes to have lots of sex?
That's going to be a positive word.
Yeah, I agree with that. Look. Let me tell you something. Islamically,
but you didn't tell me.
I don't know. In English?
Yeah, in English.
I don't know.
I don't know if you have those words in Arabic.
He's smiling. I think he knows.
No, look. I'm not disagreeing with you on this.
Sure.
This is a point of agreement. I think this is not a point of disagreement. I agree that when women do it and whatever men do, that's the point of agreement. It's not disagreement. What I'm going to say to you is that, generally speaking, things like polygamy, the hijab, all of those things are in a sentence explained by the fact that there are differences.
He's going to say it's your genetics, basically. That's it.
But there are differences. But so what?
Okay.
Why would that?
That's exactly the argument of the feminists.
Why would that relegate a woman to have to cover her entire body?
Let me ask you
cover her
Good.
face?
Good.
Why?
Let me ask you a question. Why are we?
The same argument that people give for women who
that's
like, what are you wearing?
No, that's very good. Yeah. Now we're going somewhere. So you're saying there are differences, but we should disregard the differences.
Not disregard them. But
so what should we do? What should we do with the differences? How should we account them?
It's the same way that I think that what a woman wears in the street should not determine whether she's rapeable or not. We should be, or my father wanted to keep me in the house when I was young because he was so afraid that I would be assaulted. And instead, he should have been out on the streets talking to the young men who might want to assault me. Yeah. He should be speaking to those men. The men should be speaking to other men. It shouldn't be about keeping women in the house and keeping them covered while they walk
No
the
problem.
streets.
I'm asking a simple question.
Listening to me?
Yeah, I got that. Okay. I got that argument. I understand it. What I'm asking you is, we agree that there are differences. There are two ways we're dealing with this.
Yeah, but I think we disagree about those differences.
We either accept those differences and account for them, or disregard those differences. What should we do?
Well, there's a mid ground. I don't think you can.
What's the middle ground? Tell me what the middle ground is.
I don't know. I just feel like if we're smart enough to be able to develop books and laws that are going to dictate how we live our lives, we can develop something that doesn't say that women have to behave a certain way in order to stop themselves from being raped.
But Christina,
that's freedom of expression.
But Christina, you see, the question I'm asking you is very profound, and you know it's actually the building. Look, I want you to understand something, right? Before we can't build castles on thin air, okay? Arguments are
we
like.
can build them on sand, though.
Right? Yeah. No, it will be weak foundations.
I'm from the beach, though, but I've seen castles built on sand.
No, what I'm saying, maybe they have sand castles. What I'm talking about here is, if we want to have a coherent, logical understanding of why we're doing certain things, we have to actually have a foundation which is quite solid and firm. So here, as we can see here, we've identified that there are differences between men and women. Now we've seen that there are two ways of dealing with those things. In a nutshell, you can either account for those differences or disregard those differences. Now I'm asking you, what should we do?
Well, the thing is,
why? And why as well?
Because I don't agree that it's about differences. What I believe is that men have an ego problem, and they have a jealousy problem, and they view women as
why is that a problem?
And they view women as their property.
Okay, maybe
so,
that's.
Not only do they not want to see. I think it's just about them not wanting to have their property violated by another man.
Okay,
that's what I think.
That stuff I agree with.
It has
no problem.
nothing to do with protecting women.
Me and you agree with the same thing. All right, no problem. We all agree with that.
You agree?
Yeah.
That
we have that
issue.
Yes.
And they walk around doing dick competition.
He's definitely saying something differently to you.
Yeah,
He's talking about genetic differences as well, and you can't exclude that.
What I'm saying is, what should we do with biological, psychological, and physiological differences? Should we take them into consideration, or should we disregard them?
No, we should take them into consideration.
Okay,
but that doesn't
perfect.
mean that women would have to dress in a particular way.
So why are you dictating that?
Because men can't control them.
So how do we dictate?
I don't know if anyone should dictate. I'm an anarchist. Like, I don't even like that label either. Like, I don't want anybody dictating anything to me.
You want to wear what you want, don't you? Do you want a man to dictate what you wear?
The thing is, I have to change the way that I dress because I don't want that kind of attention, and I don't want to live in a world where I have to wear a hijab or a burqa or sweatpants.
No problem. I'm not telling you to do that, by the way.
To avoid harassment by men.
No problem. But you live in a world. Let me put it in a very straightforward parable for you, right? we live in a world.
Flashbacks. Oh shit. Okay.
He got attacked, right, last Sunday.
I got attacked last Sunday.
Oh, that was just last Sunday.
Okay,
I
perfect.
missed it, but
He provoked that attack. We're going to go in
With this.
He said he was going to apologise.
I provoked him with this.
you were wearing this.
No, I put it on when I saw that they all want to attack me.
It's his
Why did they
fault.
want to attack you?
I'll come to that after. We'll talk about it afterwards, yeah? Let's go back to our discussion. The point. Listen.
Go on.
Go back to our discussion. Our discussion is.
But wait, but you agreed with me that
What?
the reason that we feel like women are supposed to be treated a certain way is because men can't control their egos and their jealousy, and they feel that women are their property.
Do you know what? Okay.
But he said it's genetic.
Right. Wait, there's a presupposition in what you're.
that genetically men feel jealous.
All those things.
Look. There's a
possessive.
There's a presupposition in what you're saying, which is that you define them as problems. You could define them as either.
Street harassment is a problem.
Just 2 minutes. All right, 2 minutes.
Don't worry, I gotta go too. So.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Let me finish this. A presupposition is
He's
the way.
political wing over there.
But you see,
I saw his videos. I don't know about all that.
Look, listen for a second. There's a presupposition, and it's the same one that de Beauvoir uses. Yeah, she in her chapter of biology, she talks about how men are possessive and these things.
Beauvoir, aren't you?
Yeah, no, because she's mainstream, so I like to. I'm
not
gonna.
About Sartre much, though, do you?
But read some black feminists, some womanists.
I have read some black feminists, like Ngoni, what's her name? Ngoza, whatever her name is. She wrote some little books.
Yeah, but she writes fiction. I'm talking.
No,
why everyone should be a
She wrote
feminist.
the Feminist Manifesto, why everyone should be a feminist, whatever. Anyways, look, going back.
She's very mainstream too. Like,
okay, I've looked at her stuff. She's more. I would say she's more fair. Yeah.
Read Bell Hooks.
No, not yet.
Audre Lorde.
Who?
Audre Lorde.
I've come across some of her stuff, but I haven't read her books yet. But I'll put it in my reading list. Look, yeah. What I was gonna say is that the point.
You're giving Darwin.
Listen.
Feminist Darwin.
No, I'm open, yeah, to a reading.
He's not.
To a reading, not to.
Well, to reading.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reading besides his one book. I know people who are just like, that's my book, all I need. So you're not that person.
Yeah. All right. Oh, thank you for that.
I think he
So I was saying to you, look.
We'll come to that.
The presupposition is how men should be disregarded, or should be seen as negative, or should be, or is the problem of men. Okay, so it's a problem for us.
It's really the problem of women. It's men.
So now, but how do we solve this problem? We've got men, let's say, that are, have certain traits that are differentiated from women. That we want to do this and we want to do that. We're more polygamous with this, we're that. We're more aggressive. 99.9% of people in prison are men. Whatever, yeah, all of those things.
Yeah, but
he wants doctrine.
So what do we do with that?
Doctrine solves that.
How do we prescribe?
What do we? I would not agree with that at all.
What I'm saying is, what is the solution? What is your solution for it? Have you got a solution for it?
Education.
For how men wouldn't assault women.
Education, right? Education, it has to be that. To teach children to treat women with respect and for men to be treated with respect.
Let's say education is a good thing, and we agree with it. No problem.
Yeah.
No, let's do education. But what I'm saying is this: if you're saying that women will be exploited by men, and let's be, sexually this is
whatever. You're not going to eradicate all of it.
No problem. Shouldn't women take precautions?
Yeah, but precautions doesn't mean that we should stay home.
I'm not saying that.
Dress in a
I'm not. No, but
way.
I'm saying. What I'm saying is this: what precautions have proved to be more successful?
I don't think wearing those clothes has been very successful.
No, but let me ask you a question.
I go out in the street with baggy jeans and whatever, and like
no.
Matter.
But let me once again, right? Precautions which prevent.
And as I said, was education, and you're saying education. I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm talking.
So
like,
do you agree?
Beings.
Do you agree?
Don't you think men can say? And inherently, biologically, I really just want to ravage a woman when I see her. But you know what? I won't do that because it's wrong.
No,
I mean,
can I interject
this is your freedom of speech to be who you are as a man biologically, but actually you cannot infringe upon my rights to be a woman. And we're different.
Yeah, I get it. But so just one point.
Actually asked me. They've said, why don't I rape? If I'm not religious, if I have no morals, I'm an atheist. Why don't I rape? It's a very interesting thing. Yeah, they asked me that, as if I have no innate morality. Which I do.
If you do, you got to ask where it came from. All right. So if
evolution, my friend. But we'll have that discussion another time.
Evolution, that's a different case. All right. So in a nutshell, in one word, we would say that one measure which forces men not to look at women.
No.
Hold on. It does. A certain. if we're saying that you don't want men to look at you as commodities or objectify you, right? One measure that forces that is privatization of the ornaments of women. It forces that. You can't feast on or exploit that which you can't see.
I saw women wearing.
You see what I'm saying?
Wearing jalabas that really like showed their beautiful
Yeah,
curves.
Anyways.
I don't know.
Okay, sorry.
Mohammed, pleasure.
Oh, I do.
Mohammed,
You're right.
No, brother.
Mohammed, behind you.
Yeah, me up.